Hello, everyone. I am Richard Mitchell, the reviews content director here at Joystiq, and joining me also is Mr. Thomas Schulenberg, our weekend editor.
Hey there.
So, Thomas, you and I got to go to Bungie Studios, and I got to play, and you got to stand behind me and watch while I played the preview build of Destiny.
Yes, I was given the great privilege to be in the room, but not touch any of the nice things.
So they didn't have enough stations or something. So I thought that would be an interesting perspective, right? Because I actually got to sit down and play the game, and you got to form sort of different impressions by watching it. And both of us sort of went into the event with sort of our impressions of the game. So just watching me play it, this is Bungie's new huge shooter from Activision. I mean, what were you thinking?
I'm thinking, and I don't want to get down on it because obviously I haven't played it, but just from looking at it, it seems like Borderlands, but Halo-ish in terms of combat. Is that fair?
I think to a certain extent. I think the Borderlands comparison is going to come up because this is a first-person shooter that's focused on loot, so that you have a lot of different weapons and armor that you can find. Your weapons and armor level up and their specifications can change. So it has a similar grind, I think. Of course, I only played a very small section. What feels very different to me is the actual moment-to-moment gameplay. The moment-to-moment gameplay feels very much like Bungie's most famous product, Halo.
Yeah, but one thing that didn't look like Halo were the superpowers that you were using.
That's right, and this is one of the things that might differentiate Destiny from the other first-person shooters out there. You can equip something called a focus, which changes the way you play. And this is another sort of MMO element, is that it gives you a super move that charges up over time. You've got the basic first-person shooting with sniper rifles, shotguns, magnum pistols, that kind of thing. Pulling off headshots felt very much like Halo to me. The rhythm of, using a grenade whenever you're in a tight situation. But on top of that, you have some of these other skills that almost feel kind of like an MMO.
Yeah, and like Halo, you can play it alone, but that's not the main point, right?
No, that's not really the point of the game. Bungie has been hyping these social features, again, almost like an MMO, but this is the one part of the game that we didn't really get to sample that much. So we got to play what's called a strike mission, which is for 3 players. They go down and you just complete a mission together. And like I said, that moment-to-moment gameplay felt very much sort of like a Halo game, but with iron sights, a couple of extra abilities thrown in there. But what Bungie's been talking about are all these social features. Something that we didn't get to try out, for example, are public events. So when you're on a mission down on the planet's surface, you will see these events, and you can start participating in them immediately.
And you just jump in by, shooting something, right? If it's the main target?
Yeah, and all of a sudden you're playing with 9 different players, and you're all trying to take out, the same massive boss, or something like that. And then the other thing that they talked about is the central hub. This is the big social space. It's called the Tower, which is in third person so that you can see your fancy armor. And you see people walking around doing emotion animations the same way you would in an MMO. And that's something we didn't get to see.
Right, so there's a lot that we don't know from this event. But now that you've got a chance to play it, you can kind of tell whether or not it's going to stand out from its competitors, right?
Well, I would really still like to get a really good feel for the game. I'd like to be able to sit down at the very beginning and just play for 2 hours to get a feel for the overall flow of the story and the different multiplayer missions and the public events. But shooting things feels good. And they've set it up so there are several different enemy factions, and they all have different enemy units. Some of them had shields. Some of them were floating orbs, these robots that have different powers. But I feel like what's going to make the game stand out is how they execute the campaign and how you flow in between these single-player missions, multiplayer missions, the social hub of the Tower, and that's what we don't have a feel for yet. And that's what I really want to know about.
Alright, sounds kind of promising. When are we going to find out more about Destiny?
Bungie promised us there will be more information at E3. Hopefully we will learn about the campaign, how everything ties together, and that's cutting it pretty close because the game itself comes out on September 9th, later this year. Moment-to-moment gameplay, the actual gunfighting, and this is terrible.
That's a spirit.